So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these Tombow markers and the Tombow blender pen. And I'm going to color these flowers. First, what I want to do is and I think I forgot to mention, I stamped on watercolor paper. So I stamped on watercolor paper using archival ink that is waterproof. So I'm going to take number 847 and I'm going to color in where I think the darker areas are. And I'm not going to be terribly neat about it. I'm just trying to get some contrast. And for my situation, my light is going to be coming from the top. Alright, so then I'm going to take this lighter color, which is 845, and I'm going to put it down on my craft mat. And when I watched the video, they didn't use a craft mat, but I'm going to see if I can't get this to work. And then I'm going to add this color to my image while also dragging out the color that I already put down. So there you've got the darker on the bottom and in the middle, and where I have my shadowing, or where I perceive my shadowing in my image to be, and the lighter is what I'm picking up from my craft mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue to do that for the whole image. On this bigger flower, I want a little more contrast, so I'm going to bring in the darker color along the bottom edge of the petals, also where there would be shadowing. And then I'm going to bring my blender pen back in just to get those colors to smooth out together. And then anywhere where I see that I have some white space left in the flower, I'm just going to fill that in, because I seem to have missed a few spots. And there we go. So now I'm going to wipe up my red, because I am going to work on my leaves. And for the leaves, I'm going to use a couple colors. I'm going to start out and put yellow on the whole leaf. Well, not the whole leaf, but most of it. And then I'm going to come in first. I need to take my blender pen and get all the red off. It kind of stained it a little, but it looks as though it's now coming out clear. So I'm going to take the darker green, which is 245, and the yellow that I used was 25. So I'm going to take the 245 and I'm going to go along the vein of the stem of the leaf, sorry, because that's where I think it would be darker. Then I'm going to take 195 and let me get a paper towel because I can still see some of my red. I don't want to mix my red and my green. I'm going to lay down this green and take my blender pen and pick it up and then fill in the leaves. So that is that. Now, the video I watched, and I will put a link to Lindsay's video because, you know, after all, she's the reason that I'm doing this because she came up with the idea. What she did over here is she outlined her flower in blue. And a lot of times, and I think I've shown it in videos before, I'll take a gray and outline, but she used her blender pen to get the blue around the outside. Let's try this 533, which is a lighter blue. Oh yeah, much better, much better. Okay, so then all she does is she goes along the edge of her image and just brightens it up. And this you will see, but a lot of times the person who's looking at your work won't even notice that this color is there. And then I can kind of clean up where I colored out the lines around the flower. But it's watercolor, so it's supposed to be a little messy, right? A final touch before I put it on a card, I have this little splatter stamp by Stamps by Judith and Heather that just makes little dots. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the same Tombow marker that I used to go around the outside, 533, and I'm inking it up with the Tombow and just kind of putting little splatters around the flowers just to add a little bit of dimension. Okay, so now I'm going to put it on a card base and I will show you the final product. I found a Spellbinders die and used that to cut my image out that I colored. And then an oval die from Stampin' Up, and I cut out the red. It's Cranberry Bliss from Fun Stamper's Journey. Then I have a blue, and that just was in my stash that I thought brought out the color, this color 533 that I used to outline the image. And then I used punch from Stampin' Up to punch out my little label for the sentiment, and I used a sentiment from Fun Stamper's Journey. And that's my card. I happen to need a birthday card, so that's how I picked the sentiment. I'll lift it up a little so you can see it. I hope you learned something today. Again, I will link Lindsay, who is the Frugal Crafter. I will link her original video on how she colored her image in the information at the bottom. Have a great day. Bye.